Conceive, believe, achieve. Shut the fuck up.
And new undisputed UFC middleweight champion of the world, Michael the Count Bisping.
This is Believe You Me on the Gas Digital Network.
We're here.
Hi, Lewis.
Believe you me.
Hi.
Hello, Mr. Bisping.
How you doing, buddy?
Pretty good.
You look good. You look good. You don't look like you're in the Gas Digital Studios, though.
I am not. I'm in a hotel room right now in Tampa, Florida. The whole weekend, I am performing down here at Side Splitters Comedy Club, and I also did. It's also a part vacation. I have my kid right now. I'm looking out the window of my hotel into the pool. My girlfriend's with my kid, having fun. As I'm just a bad dad, and I'm like, no, I got to go to work. Forget it. Got to go to work. So that's how committed I am to the Believe You Me audience. I'm literally watching my kid have fun without me.
That's really, really good and kind and good for the listeners. But you do realize that there was a very famous child kidnapping case called Madeleine McCann in Portugal years ago. And kind of a similar scenario, Lewis. I got to say, not that I'm making fun of Madeleine McCann's situation, because it was very, very sad. It was big news in England, maybe not over there. But hold on, my dog. Shut up! Dogs. Yeah, they were, they went out and they left the kid the exact opposite scenario of what you're describing. They left the kid in the apartment and they went to the bar. And when they came back, the kid was gone. So keep a close eye on that little man, Lewis. That's how kids go missing.
I'm looking at him he's with my girlfriend. I didn't just say, hey, James, go party at the pool bar.
Okay. And can he swim? Can he swim? Because I'm pretty sure he couldn't swim when he was at my house.
He's not doing great. I'm watching him drown as well. The other problem is, if he drowns, there's no way I can get there on time. Like, there's no way. Like,
so you're just gonna let it happen. So you're just gonna let it happen. You say, fuck it. You just say, fuck it. He's drowning. There's nothing I can do. And I can't interrupt the podcast. And by the time I got to him, he'd be dead, unless he floats face up, and then he'd be okay.
There's no upside in me stopping the podcast to go and hold his dead body. That's not helping anybody. Okay, why? No.
Imagine how traumatizing that would be for everybody else around the pool. I mean, that would just be selfish. You're just wallowing in your own self-pity.
I know. And then the podcast listeners, they'd be like, well, what the fuck's going to happen? When are we going to be back? What are we, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday?
Anything could happen.
By the way, what is the appropriate time? Michael Bisping, this is a great question. It's a horrible thing to even be talking about, but fuck it. We've gone down the rabbit hole already. One of your children die. One of them die. Pick your least favorite one.
Ooh.
Okay.
Okay. Instantly got it. Okay. Fuck that little motherfucker.
You got to pick one. How quickly before you return to the Believe You Me podcast? Like, how long before you come back on air? And you got to mourn. You can't come back on the next day.
Listen. Now, this isn't what we were planning on talking about at all for those listeners thinking that we are a train wreck. We have many huge MMA topics to get to, but you're alone with your children and I'm alone with my children. First 17, 15, and 8, but Callum 17. He's gone off San Francisco State College. I've flown him out first class because they're trying to groom him to go to that college. So my wife has gone with him. So I'm home alone with the children. And my daughter's probably going to end up looking after me as opposed to me looking after her. But to answer your question, I can't joke about that stuff. So I've got to be honest. I think if I was to lose a child, then all life would cease to exist. I don't think I'd ever leave the house again. I honestly don't know how some people function. So we were being, trying to be entertaining and silly, but I just can't do that, Unless it was my daughter, she causes me a lot of problems. So unless it was her, then I think I'd be okay.
1 week you're back if your daughter. Dude,
I'm joking. She's in the background.
We are just joking. I mean, dude, literally, there's probably not a more loving father than you or I, for that matter. You have a different thing though, because I've said this before. Like, here's the truth. You want to get dark? If something happened to my son, there's no way I couldn't kill myself. There's no I don't know how this just happened. It's such a horrible story. A guy just lost his kid and he just like jumped in front of the train. This happened like a week ago in New York, right? And I completely get it because I couldn't imagine going on. But you have 3 kids, so you have 2 other kids that you no longer have that option to kind of fucking do that for. So it's almost like that's all like sort of my fear of having like even more kids is that it's just even more. It's almost like you have another kid, you double that fear of losing that kid. You double the chances of them getting sick or getting hurt or getting into an accident in a car. It's terrifying.
That's why I'm always skeptical or suspicious of parents on the news, when they lose a child and they seem to be holding it together. I'm like, well, there's got to be something up here, because I would be fucking lashing out at everybody, crying my eyes out. I know my wife would be the exact same way. So when I see them on the news and they're kind of matter of fact about it and they're talking about it, I'm like, well, hold on a minute. He definitely killed his own kid. Anyway, enough of kid killing, enough of kid drowning. This is a bonus episode, Saturday morning here, pouring down with rain in California, lightning storms last night, thunderstorms. I was acting like I'd never seen rain before. I was outside filming it on my Instagram story. That's how much of an occasion it is in California, but it was raining fucking heavy. But it was nice. It reminded me of England, but they didn't come here to hear us talk about children dying, children drowning, or and me being reminiscent about rain and England. They came here to hear about MMA talk, possibly. I think people prefer it, actually, when we go off on our tangents and we talk bullshit. I think I prefer it, actually. It's way more fun. But there is a lot going on in the world of MMA. Last week, it was all about Conor McGregor, Khabib Nurmagomedov. And I suppose Khabib is still dominating headlines right now. Sorry, Lewis, I know you're sitting there patiently, but I might as well break it down. Everybody knows there was not a big riot, but there was the scuffle in the crowd afterwards, which was very unfortunate, and it was a black eye for the sport. But Khabib has come out of the woodwork and said that if the UFC fires his teammates who fight for the UFC, yeah, sure, go ahead.
Yeah, the actual quote he posted on Twitter, which I think is pretty badass. He goes, "I would like to address the at UFC. Why didn't you fire anyone when their team attacked the bus and injured a couple of people? They could have killed someone there. Why no one saying anything after insulting my homeland, religion, nation, family? Why do you have to punish my team when both teams fought? If you say that I started it, then I do not agree. I finished what he had started. In any case, punish me." And then with Zabira to cook. I don't want to fucking destroy his name.
That guy
has nothing to do with it. If you think that I'll keep silent, then you are mistaken. You canceled Zubara's fight, and you want to dismiss him just because he hit Conor, but don't forget that it was Conor who had hit my brother first. Just check the video. If you decide to fire him, this is fucking crazy. You should know that you'll lose me too. We never give up on our brothers in Russia, and I will go to the end for my brother. If you still decide to fire him, don't forget to send me my broken contract. Otherwise, I'll break it myself. And one more thing, you can keep my money that you're withholding. You are pretty busy with that. I hope it won't get stuck in your throat. We have defended our honor, and this is the most important thing. We intend to go to the end. #brothers. Holy fuck.
That's awesome. What's even more awesome is distinguishing the broken English. I think when he says, I hope the money doesn't get stuck in your throat, he means, I hope you fucking choke on it. That's probably what he means. If you break contract, I break contract myself, and money stuck in your throat. Okay, enjoy that. You're pretty busy. It's like,
men who break contract live life of swollen donkey. What?
In my country, we say, man who break contract with UFC live like eagle in mountains or some shit. I don't know.
Any man who lies like a pig in the mud must sleep with his grandmother's corpse. Okay, all right. This guy gets it.
You live like gypsy for life. Okay, all right. Fucking Khabib. Yeah. Pretty gangster. That's very, very gangster of him, and I agree with him. I agree with him in essence. I'm not saying I agree. I don't agree with the UFC and their stance of it as well. Of course, the UFC have to do something about what happened last week, and the Athletic Commission have to do something about it. They have to. Now, Khabib's got a point. Conor pretty much did go unpunished. Well, he got arrested. He got punished through the criminal legal system, but he didn't really get punished from the UFC. So that's Khabib's gripe, and I can understand that. I see his point there. So he's basically calling out the double standard. If Conor didn't get in any trouble, then why am I? But as I said last time, and again, I'm a fan of Khabib, and I think what he did is great, and I admire him standing up for his teammate, his brothers, and all that. I think that's beautiful. I do. But two wrongs don't make a right. These don't, and I stand by that. It'll just be interesting, though, to see how the UFC handle this. Maybe they call his bluff. Maybe Zubara said, I don't know. You know what this reminds me of, Lewis? Reminds me of when me and you worked for SiriusXM, and we were like, well, if he doesn't get a fucking pay rise or whatever it was, then I quit. And you did the same thing for me. But I remember I said, oh, Lewis, you don't have to do that. And you said to me, Mike, you don't have to do that. And I would expect when it's $2 million fucking dollars plus pay-per-view on the line, Zabaru, whatever his name is, to say, Khabib, I get it. I appreciate it. I love you. But I'm on 12-12. Okay, it's going to take me 1,000 fights in the UFC to earn that kind of money. So maybe I'll go fight for Bellator.
To be honest with you, my name's kind of out there now. It's kind of a good thing.
Exactly.
This guy's a free agent. I don't really know his record or his background. In fact, Harrington, if you want to pull up what I don't know if he's like an upcoming prospect.
And he's probably got some goats to milk anyway.
Yeah, maybe. So, if here's the thing, if he's not about to set the world on fire, getting released from the UFC with his name being involved in this high profile way is by far the best thing in the world that could happen to him, because he can go fight for Bellator, he can go fight for another organization. But you know this as well as anybody else. You do not want to be banned from the UFC. You don't want that to be the end result. You look at guys who are great, not necessarily banned, but what's his name? The gentleman, 170 pounder, Ben Askren, just kind of fell out of grace with Dana White, talked shit publicly, was never got the opportunity. And I think he's a guy who, super, super talented. The world really never got to see what he had to offer on the largest stage. And I think guys who are competing, especially these guys who are hashtagging fucking honor and brothers, and this is really about it's more than money for these guys. I think a guy like that, probably would want to test himself against the best guys in the world.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say, it's really refreshing, actually, and I know we're having fun again. Once again, that's what we fucking do on here, So if there's any Russians listening, I think we're being disrespectful. We're not. We're having fun. Get a sense of humor. I think it's really refreshing in this modern day and age where, of course, everyone's career obsessed, money obsessed. You see all these people on Instagram get after it. They're working out and they're showing off about it. Everyone's just obsessed with status and profile and money and celebrity, and I just think it's so nice and refreshing and decent to see someone like Khabib, who's on top of the world right now, to say, do you know what? I'm willing to walk away from all of that if you disrespect my brother, my teammate, my friend. And I commend him for having that attitude. I hope that he doesn't do it for his own sake. He's got a tremendous career ahead of him. He's probably pound for pound. Well, he's definitely in the conversation for best pound for pound fighter in the world.
I think pound for pound best. I think when you look at his 27-0, there's never been a question about him using steroids. I mean, when you consider that, John Jones is the only other guy who I think you could really kind of make the argument for. I guess GSP, but GSP is so inactive that you can't, it's kind of difficult, right? But Khabib is the one dude who is truly undefeated. Has never lost a round. You could debate that he lost a third round against Conor, but that's still up for debate. Who else do you give it to?
Well, as you just said, John Jones there is the only thing that made me hesitant to say, because I was going to say, it was in my mind, say pound for pound best fighter in the world. But the only thing that made me hesitant as I was saying it was what people would perceive as a slight lack in the striking department. But saying that, he was the one that landed the big shot against Conor anyway. So that's not fair to say. But I've spoke about this many times. You can still be an effective striker, but you don't have to be the most skilled. Certainly Khabib was very effective Saturday night. But I think he'd be the first to admit, and a lot of people would also agree, that perhaps his striking game isn't on a level of perhaps a John Jones, and John Jones is very well-rounded. But that's not what we are debating today. He's certainly probably pound for pound, if not top 3 guaranteed. That's a fact. Probably throughout history of MMA as well. As you say, 27-0. Probably never lost a round. Perhaps maybe lost one round to Conor. Maybe it was a draw. Who knows? But as I say, I just think it's incredible that he's willing to do that. I really do. I hope that he doesn't.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see how the UFC counter. It really is. Because they're in a tough position.
What do you think?
Of course. I mean, Conor wants to rematch,
would you do?
right?
How about this? This is what you're in charge. Michael Bisping is the new Dana White head N-word in charge, as they say. What would you do in this situation? Yeah, no,
I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you a quick story right now. I was filming the movie Triple Threat in Thailand last year, right? And I met Steven Seagal. Okay. And Steven Seagal said, would you like to join me for a cigar? Yeah, I don't smoke cigars, but I'm like, fucking Steven Seagal asking me to hang out, drink some whiskey and smoke a cigar. Yeah, okay. All of a sudden I smoke cigars. Okay. So I sit down with him and his like bodyguard and we're chatting away. And he was great. He was. I know he has a bit of a bad rap, but he was very gentlemanly like. He was very engaging. He was very friendly.
He wasn't trying to open up his silk robe to you or try to get you to do any scenes with him?
Well, there was a lot of things that got said that will remain unsaid on this podcast, that's for sure. I was like, fucking keep your voice down, Stephen. Do not say that out loud. I've got a bad enough reputation as it is. But the point of this story is that he was talking about Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin. And he has a big status in Russia. And he says that he knows Trump very well. And he was like, listen, you know, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin together. And I'm just going to bang their heads together, okay, and get them to figure this out like men, you know. So I'm going to go down the Steven Seagal route. If I was the UFC, I'd get Khabib and I'd get Conor and I'd just bang their heads together and say, come on, guys, figure this out. But that wouldn't work.
That's that. It wouldn't work.
That's how easy it is for world peace, according to Steven Seagal. To fix this, all I got to do is get in a room with Vladimir Putin, Donald Trump, bang their heads together, have a chat, and we're all good. And he was deadly fucking serious. Anyway, that aside, UFC can't be seen to do nothing. Although, you know, maybe they dropped the ball on Conor a little bit. I don't know. I'm not saying officially they did, but I can see an argument for that. But Conor was the biggest superstar they've ever seen and still is. But Khabib, I would say, is riding his fucking coattails pretty hotly these days. You know,
Khabib definitely increased his worth so much. Even look, dude, I don't care if it's bullshit, dude, because we've seen guys a million times over come out and be like, you know, even Conor's the king of sort of holding the UFC's feet to the fire and saying, dude, it's my way or the highway. That's Conor, right? He's the first dude who sort of like was like, oh shit, dude, they're just letting him do whatever he wants. But it was always for the business of Conor. And it was cool. Look, I love the whole Money Mayweather thing. It's like, hey, these guys are showing stacks of cash and fast cars and blah, blah, blah. But when Khabib does it for the name of his brothers and honor and for what's right and what's righteous in the world, dude, that story right there, he wins so many fans for that because there's no angle on that where you look at it and go, even if you think that he's wrong, you know, in his mind, what he's doing, even when he says like, you know, he's saying I started, he's like, no, I finished what Conor started. In his version, he's looking at it as like a man, like Conor started this much bigger thing. And it wasn't about that incident. It was about the whole bigger thing. And I think that adds a ton of value to him. I do not see the UFC getting rid of their, you know, potentially the biggest star in the world. You know, UFC is very smart because they've recognized it's not just about North America, it's about the world. And having European stars, you were one of the first guys they tried to do it with, dude. They know that they need that, and I think that they would be stupid to get rid of Khabib. I think they're going to end up maybe suspending his boy. They're going to figure it out. They're going to work it out behind closed doors.
So, by the way, I'm being very careful not to interrupt you, A, because of Rule 17, and B, because it digitizes the sound a little bit. But you're right. From Khabib's standpoint, it's about men and honor and this and that. And you know, if we lived in the olden times, if we lived in the, you know, medieval times, Khabib's completely fucking right. Because that's how it would have gone down. If you start one bit of shit, well, you said, well, you better kill me because I'm going to come back and finish it, you know? In modern times, you know, you can't, that's not how you can conduct yourself. Now, of course, people like Khabib, people like me, people that are fighters that probably would have been on the battlefield back in those days, that's how they still kind of operate in their minds, but you've got to be able to control that, you know? So whilst I agree and I sympathize with Khabib's actions in that regard, in terms of modern civilized behavior, it's not correct. All right, guys, are you looking to last longer and go a few extra rounds? We all know that Lewis is, and we're talking about the bedroom performance here. So if you want to go a few extra rounds, get to bluechew.com. Bluechew.com is the first ever chewable that brings your performance to another level. Check this out. They've got the same ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, so they work. Since they're chewable, they'll work faster than a pill. You can take them anytime, day or night, even on a full stomach. And this stuff is cheaper than those two, so this really is a no-brainer. Plus, you don't need to go to a doctor's office or spend time awkwardly waiting in the pharmacy line, because Blue Chew ships straight to your door in discreet packaging.
Yeah, I mean, I love it. I got the prescription. For me, Bisping, it's kind of funny, as we've heard in MMA fighters that have used the excuse of taking Viagra and getting popped for steroids, which is pretty funny just in general. So I think we still have to look into how we can get you onto your Blue Chew prescription, but it has changed my life. Doggy, people, listen to me. Let me tell you something. People, it's not like, oh, you have to have problems in the bedroom. It's not about problems. The way I describe it is there is 20% more of you that you don't even know about. And it's just, it makes sex better for her. It makes sex better for me. If you guys like to bang, if you guys are a fan of this show, try it out for free. The best part of all this is you get to just try this out absolutely free. Mike, you want to tell them how to get it?
Well, I was actually signaling for you to do that, but of course I would love to, because it's a great deal. We have got, seriously, a good offer for you. Visit bluechew.com. and you get your first shipment free when you use the promo code BELIEVE. Listen, $5 shipping. That's it. That's blue, B-L-U-E, chew.com. Promo code BELIEVE. Pay the shipping. You get it for free. Let's go. On with the show.
All right, let's get back into it.
I don't know if you've been following Khabib's page. Have you seen what's going on with him in Russia right now? He's on TV shows with Vladimir Putin. He's on talk shows. He's walking out everywhere he goes. There's thousands of people chanting his name and stuff. It's insane. He's got about, I don't know, close to 17 million Instagram followers now, which has jumped up incredibly high. And he is a massive, massive star. And again, not only the fact he's willing to walk away from his fight career and the money, you know, to get the level of skill that Khabib has, that's a lifetime's work. His father started with him when he was a young boy, you know, and to still walk away from all that, a lifetime's work. Because the UFC aren't going to let him go fight anywhere else. That's a fact. If they end up in some kind of locked, you know, they both put the foot down and they both get stubborn about it, you know, it's going to be a contractual situation. And they're not going to let Khabib out of contract. They're not. So he's not going to be able to just say, fuck you and go fight somewhere else unless he wants a massive lawsuit. So for him to be willing to walk away from all of that and just say, you know what, all right, well, screw it, I retire. It's pretty admirable. It is. It is. Now, how the UFC going to handle it? I think that they need to, you know, they need to fly Khabib in and they need to sit down and they need to talk. And they need to, and they need to show Khabib, from what I know, and again, I don't know him that well, but he's a very intelligent man for one, and he's pretty reasonable. And I think if they talk to him, that if you sit down and have a conversation, most things can be worked out. Like me and you have had stupid arguments. Tempers flare. I have stupid arguments all the time. My temper flares, but once you sit down in the cold light of day and say, okay, all right, can we look at this? You know, with through another lens of eyes, perhaps. Can we look at this in a very calm environment where we just break it down and we say, listen, we can't do nothing about this, you know, but we understand your grievance. So let's negotiate, let's compromise, let's figure something out. That would be the smartest course of action, but we'll see what happens.
In business, in any form of business, I don't care if it's comedy, fighting, podcasting, just a business deal, two dudes arguing out back. If two people want something, right? If you want to make a deal happen, you'll come to a solution. You'll figure it out, but you got to both want it. Typically when it doesn't happen is because one of the people, I was going to call him Dito.
I call him Dito all the time. This is the softest dog. Oh, he just came in for a quick cuddle. He's the softest.
Look at that.
Yeah. Sorry, go on.
By the
you
way,
were saying Alfie came and destroyed everybody because he has a massive tongue and he was licking the side of my face, which I don't let my dog lick my face. But when he does that, when he climbs up on you like that and he's like, oh, and he just wants a little cuddle, I let him kind of like lick it a little bit.
We have like Hispanic fans and black fans that are watching that now, and you just let your dog slobber all over your face, they're puking all over their screens. That's a very white person thing to like just,
I did not let him lick my face.
Yeah. We don't know where your hands were. Oh, he got very affectionate. That's all I know is that dog came in and your hands were below the screen. Who knows what was going on?
All kinds of madness. All right. So I guess we're going to find out what happens there. Stay tuned. Because the thing is, there's so many big opportunities for Khabib right now. Of course, Conor and the UFC, I would say, want to do the rematch. That's smart business. Okay. Not smart business for Khabib, if I'm honest, because Conor is a tough opponent and he's a very skilled fighter. I would say that Khabib.
Well, he asked for record-breaking money.
Who did?
Khabib, he said to do the rematch. I don't know. I'm sure Harrington could chime in with this. First of all, also let me know, weren't they both officially suspended? Harrington, you could probably fill us in on a little bit of the background there, because I know that I read that both Conor and Khabib were suspended, and I also read that Khabib asked for like record-breaking money to do a rematch.
Yeah, they were both suspended for, I believe it was 10 days by the Nevada State Athletic Commission while they
So that's over already.
No. They're suspended for 10 days while they look into what the deeper penalties may be.
Thank you, sir. May I have another? That's what I would say. I'll take 20 days. Fuck it.
Yeah. And yes,
ahead,
you are correct. He was just saying, he's asking for record-shattering money if he's to take that rematch, but he hasn't even, gone on in the record saying I would 100% take it.
Did he give an inclination as to what kind of figure that we're talking about?
No, nothing yet.
Okay. Go ahead.
He did get an offer. I don't know if you guys saw this yesterday. 50 Cent said, what the UFC's doing to you is wrong. Come fight for me in Bellator. I'll give you $2 million cash.
Ooh. Yeah, I did see that. And that's 50 Cent being 50 Cent lately. I used to like 50 Cent a lot, and I'm not saying I don't like him anymore, but he can be, I don't know, he can be a little bit of a girl, I think, on Instagram. Pardon me, I shouldn't say that. Oh, Jesus Christ. SJW is going to come after me. I know, sorry.
He might come after you. He's been shot 9 times.
Not lately, he hasn't. Fucking, I reckon Lucas could take him. Fuck me. He's acting like a 12-year-old girl, okay? And that's not being anti-anything. No, in fact, it is. If you're a grown-ass man acting like a 12-year-old girl...
12-year-old girls can't fight. I will fuck up almost any 12-year-old girl in the world. That's not sexist. That's a fact. Sorry.
Guess what? So will I. I could fuck up any 12-year-old girl in the world. Any of them.
How many 12-year-old girls, Michael, how many 12-year-old girls, if you had to fight them, 12-year-old girls, how many do you think it would be before you would start to have a problem?
I reckon I would run out of steam and just get tired, right? They wouldn't be able to. They need thousands of them, a lot of young girls. Okay, it'd be like Keanu Reeves in The Matrix. Keanu Reeves in The Matrix in that one scene where he's got thousands of them, and I'm there on that pole spinning around, kicking them in the face. Fucking little girls in pigtails flying everywhere in school uniforms.
Just glitter and scrunchies just flying everywhere.
How the mighty have fallen once again. I used to be talking about fighting the best girls in the world, the best fighters in the world. Now I'm bragging about how many 12-year-old girls I could beat at one time.
Thousands.
Hey, it is what it is.
Thousands. Yeah. What are you gonna do?
Thousands. Okay. Where were we?
I don't even remember. Oh, so no, you were talking about they were both suspended for 10 days. Which is basically nothing. They're trying to figure out.
We were talking about 50 Cent.
Oh, right.
And so 50 Cent, obviously, he's kind of, I don't know what his official stance is, but he's repping Bellator, so to speak, these days. And he's kind of a spokesman, I think, a brand ambassador, all this type of stuff. And 50 Cent seemed, go on.
I was going to say, does he have some sort of stake in it, or like maybe a percentage of ownership or something? He must, because he's very vested. Didn't he just give a big $1 million bonus to somebody?
He's going to give $1 million to the winner of the welterweight tournament.
Yeah, that's right. He's going to give $1 million to the welterweight tournament. But I think a lot of this might just be It's bullshit. He's a brand ambassador for the company, which is great. Viacom have deep pockets. I guarantee that $1 million. Well, I say guarantee. I don't guarantee. I would suspect I would like mildly suspect. I went from guarantee to mildly suspect that it's probably Viacom's money and not 50 cents. But there's nothing wrong with that. But that 50 Cent's a bit of a troll online. I don't know if you've seen all the stuff that he does with Floyd Mayweather, which is hilarious, and then some other stuff. His Instagram account's actually very funny. I'm calling him a 12-year-old girl. What up, 50?
I know what happened,
boy.
by the way.
Holla at you, boy.
What happened was not a while ago, like 2-3 months ago, a fake Michael Bisping. I remember this now. This is what's going on here. Okay, this is why you're seeing it in his eyes.
You just reminded me of this. This is not what's going on. But go ahead.
So there's a fake Michael Bisping account. I think it's Michael_Bisping on Instagram. Let's give him some followers.
No, don't. He's a fucking asshole pretending to be me, and a guy that's pretending to be me talking shit to 50 Cent. I can't remember what he said, but then 50 Cent came back with some, snide remark.
That was great. He really thought it was you, and he started trashing you, and you were like, hey, just so you know, it's not really me. Side note.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think that's 50 Cent just trying to throw fuel on the fire and have some fun and poke the fire with a stick. Why not? He's enjoying himself. He's just having a laugh because everybody knows, contractual obligations and whatnot. Khabib couldn't do that even if he wanted to. It's not that simple.
Anyway, there's something there, right? Because all right, look, if Khabib walked away, does it mean his career's over? I know that they've talked in the past about, an Ali clause where they can't prevent people from fighting in the best years of their life. And Conor was the one I believe they brought that up about when he was sort of going through contract negotiations and when they weren't going to let him fight Mayweather. That was sort of the thing that was being thrown around that, they got. I know it's boxing and I know it's. But at the same time, I think there's something to that, especially when you consider the fact that he'd go to Russia. He's fucking rubbing elbows with Putin. You think Putin wouldn't bend some rules to let him fight in Russia and be like, cool, sue us. Let's figure that shit out.
Yeah, well, I was going to disagree, but that last statement you just said is 100%. You'd be like, you think this contract is problem? No problem, okay? No problem.
Oh, cool.
And they just...
We will meet you in court.
Yeah, exactly. Say, fuck you. What are you going to do? You're going to take Khabib? That'll start World War fucking 3. You know what I mean? The US flying jets over to get Khabib to subpoena him to the court case. And Putin's like, no, fuck that. He's fighting over here. Dana White and Conor McGregor started World War 3. Oh, my God. Thanks, guys. Thank you. Now Britain's going to have to save the world again.
Yet again.
Again, and I'll say that again.
Look, yeah, I hope it's going to work out. I think it's going to work out when there's this much money at stake. It's not like it's anybody. It's not Nate Diaz, who it's very funny because we should talk about this as well.
All right. You know what? Before we get into Nate Diaz, let's just take a quick second to hear from Performer Sleep. This is the bed that I sleep on. Super comfortable. I always want it nice and cold, and it has special technology that keeps it cold. But the main thing for me is the comfort level. You want a good night's sleep. Performer Sleep provides that. And here's what exactly they provide. Performer Sleep mattresses offer what no other mattress does. The Performer Sleep mattress is infused with Copper Cool technology. Copper Cool is a combination of gel particles and microscopic copper particles infused throughout the foam to create cooler nights, give added support, and all the great benefits of copper. The gel beads infused in the foam form together under the body, giving variable support in deeper compression areas such as hips and shoulder blades. This prevents the sleeper from bottoming out and also helps keep their spinal alignment in perfect position to prevent any type of back pain, Lewis.
Yeah, copper, by the way, is a natural heat conductor. The copper particles in the foam transfer heat away from your body, giving you a more comfortable and cooler night's sleep. I also sleep on this. I sleep hot too. I'm a hot Latino. So when my girlfriend tries to snuggle with me, I have to kick her away from me because I'm going to start sweating in the night. Not at this bed. I'm telling you right now, this bed, I'm cool throughout the night. I feel comfortable. Me and my girlfriend are closer and have a closer relationship because of it, okay? Performance Sleep mattress, they also give you the bounce that you want in a mattress with its uniquely designed EnoZorb technology. EnoZorb allows you to sleep on top of your mattress rather than sinking down into your mattress, which in result creates optimal support and heat dissipation. That's right, guys. You don't want a hot, sweaty mattress. This is the mattress you want.
Exactly. And if you want that heat to dissipate, then try one out. And we've also got a 100-night in-home free risk trial for you. You want that? You want a heat dissipate, copper cooling, gel infused, super high tech sounding bed? Then go to performasleep.com. That's PERFORM asleep.com. Perform. You know how to spell perform. I'm making it sound very complicated. Performasleep.com. Use the promo code BELIEVE and we'll give you $150 off any size mattress. Trust me, this is a great bed and it's $150 off. All right, so Nate Diaz.
Dustin Poirier out of his match with Nate Diaz, undisclosed injury. Nate Diaz ends up, I guess, sort of half mocking Khabib by saying, what was his tweet actually? Do you remember what the tweet was? Or Harrington, do you have it? He said it was somebody.
I don't have it. But this is what I was going to say a second ago, though. I mean, the options for Khabib now, they're endless. I mean, of course, you said he's asking for record-breaking money, pardon me, to fight Conor a second time, and rightly so. I mean, that was the biggest pay-per-view of all time, we're hearing now, which is what the UFC pegged it as, and apparently the numbers back that up. And with him being the champion, with him being 2.4, apparently, and with them beating McGregor so handily, it'd be like, how on earth are you going to let McGregor get paid more money than me? So you can understand it from his perspective. Of course, there's Nate Diaz fight. Nate Diaz fight would probably be almost as big because, Nate has a big following and, talks a lot of shit, and he would sell the fight like crazy. He's got endless opportunities. So it's interesting. We'll see what happens. Stay tuned. Keep an eye on it. We'll be sure to mock the entire situation as it moves forward. But Nate Diaz versus Dustin Poirier is off. What was all that about, Harrington?
Well, it looks like Dustin Poirier, like Lewis said, got an undisclosed injury. Nate Diaz was not interested in finding a replacement and said that he would rather just wait for Khabib.
I know you're a huge Nate Diaz fan, okay? Nate Diaz is a great fighter to watch. Brings a lot of excitement. He's got an enigmatic personality. There's something very captivating about both Diaz brothers. They command your attention. As I said, they're captivating. They are. When they talk, when they do interviews, when they fight, they're great. But what the hell is Nate Diaz doing with his career? He had that one big fight with Conor. Prior to that, I don't know. I'm gonna pluck a figure out of fresh air, but I guarantee I'm not too far away. I would say maybe Harrington can look this up as I'm talking. His fight before the Conor McGregor fight, the first one against Michael Johnson, I would say he probably got like 26-26 or 40-40, somewhere in that realm. And then he went and made millions with Conor.
I don't want to interrupt you because I can almost, it relates to what you're saying. Didn't Nate have some sort of deal where he took a huge signing bonus and then took like kind of a shit deal per fight? That was like a story that came out a few years ago where it looked like he was making like kind of crappy money per fight, but it was only because he signed on with a much bigger initial bonus.
Well, I don't actually know that, but I don't. I can't speak to any knowledge of that. But even still, his purses weren't for a lot of money. Okay.
Yeah,
so
he took a bonus on the front end. It's undisclosed, but it was a sizable amount, and he was a 2020 fighter. So he got 40K. He got 40K with the 20K win bonus.
And listen, any way you want to slice that, Lewis, you've had that money. You've been paid that. You've had your signing bonus. Sometimes you get signing bonuses when you sign a new contract with the UFC. Any way you slice it, to go through that training camp, he's still getting paid 20 and 20 to train for the fight and fight for the fight. He got his bonus for staying with the UFC, maybe not going to Bellator, shopping around, but his fight purses were 20 and 20. So he wasn't making great money. And then he had those big fights with Conor, obviously, made him a wealthy man, made millions of dollars. And since then, he hasn't been back in the octagon. And I mean this with respect because I enjoy watching him fight. And I find him captivating, but it's like, dude, what are you playing at? You were in the maybe not main event, but you were fighting Madison Square Garden, Dustin Poirier. Now he gets injured and he's like, fuck that, see you later. Went on the walkabout again.
And also don't be the I'm going to take my ball home and go home guy. Don't be the guy who says, well, you know what? I'm not going to play the game anymore. You're like, dude, come on. We're fans of yours. We want to see you fight. What you're doing is on a selfish level, it's his own career, it's his own body. If he doesn't want to fight, he doesn't want to fight. Sure, he's letting his best years waste away. All the opportunity to make sort of wasting away by prolonging it, and not getting those crazy wins and not sort of building. I think whoever his manager is. I don't want to shit on his manager, but I think he's just not. Even same thing with Nick. There's not really handling how great they are the way they should, in my opinion. Okay. But from a fan perspective, it's like, dude, you're letting your fans down because you're just saying the thing you do, you're refusing to do. You're dangling like a carrot in front of everybody to a point where I'm such a huge Diaz brother fan that I'm even like, all right, dude, I don't fucking care, dude. Go then. Go smoke weed and go do nunchucks on fucking Instagram. I'll go become a fan of somebody else because there's other dudes who are saying, fuck it, dude, put anybody in front of me. I'm ready to go. And that's what you want to hear. It's crazy.
It really is. Now, this gangster attitude and all the rest of it is like, fuck that, blah, 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 blah. I do what I want, when I want, and all that. All right, okay, that's good. But ultimately, he's only hurting himself. We have a short career as fighters. Some have longer than others, but generally it's not the longest career. Diaz has been around for a while. I was around for a while. A lot of people can have a decent career, but still, as a segment of your life, it's pretty small. Now, he hasn't fought in 2.5 years, something like that. He's 33 years old. Sorry, I just looked it up. He's 33 years old. So he's still a relatively young man. But for the lightweight division, 33, he's no spring chicken. Let's put it like that. He's not 23. He's 33. So he's got a few more years left. He's a single man. He made some big money from the McGregor fight. He's probably, no doubt he does plenty of appearances and things like that. So, I'm sure he's doing very well. But, He's only hurting himself, in my opinion. Maybe if he had a wife and kids, he might feel a bit different because you want to stack as many chips as you can to think about your retirement and think about your children and your children's future. That was always my mindset, and maybe I could have learned a little from the Diaz type of attitude. I'm not saying I could have learned from Nate Diaz, but that kind of, and even the Conor McGregors of the world as well. Maybe I could have been a bit more fuck you, pay me type of way, which I kind of was to a little bit, but I wasn't rude with it. But I was always like, well, let's just get as many fights. Fight. Let's go. Stack those fucking chips. Get the money in the bank. I want to leave money to my children when I'm dead and buried, that they live a good life. Hopefully, there's enough that they can live comfortably.
You seem to understand your value, and it's not my business to disclose, what goes on behind closed doors, but I personally experienced you turning down fights because it wasn't the right deal. It wasn't the right. You publicly, talked about it too. But
yeah.
There was times where you were considering doing things, and you're like, hey, you know what, dude, that's just not worth it. I'm not going to go and put my body and health on the line and put my training camp if it's not the right deal. And you have to sort of. There's a way to do it. I think you have to. Part of understanding your self-worth, though, is, I almost feel like it's not that Nate doesn't understand his self-worth. He's just he's depreciating in value by not fighting and building on that self-worth. You know what I'm saying? Like in my opinion,
I don't want to say this because it's probably going to generate the headline that all the little clickbaiters want, but he probably has an elevated feeling of self-worth, and his stock is high. His stock is high, but unfortunately, it's not Khabib Conor high, and I think that pisses him off. Ego is a bitch, and I've let my ego get the better of me many times. So I'm far from the perfect human being. Far from it. I make mistakes all the time. I try and learn from them and not make the same ones, though. Prime example with Nate, when the press conference, when they announced the Conor fight. Boom, he bailed and he walked outside and he's like, fuck this, and he felt disrespected, So I don't want to turn this into a whole fucking trying to shit on Nate Diaz because that's not what I'm trying to do here. But as a fan, it's a little frustrating.
Yeah, it really is. And I think you're 100% right there. I think that, in his mind, he's like I need $10-20 million to fight every single time. Whereas, I don't know. I think he needs to just start beating everybody. Whatever happened to that? What's going on with the UFC where it's just not about beating all the guys that are put in front of you and just being the best? Those are sort of the guys that I always like. And holding out for contract negotiations and angling for this fight and only fighting this guy, It's not what the sport was built off of. And I've said this a million times on the show, but UFC 1, you didn't know who you were going to fight. You had 3 guys in one night. The weight classes didn't matter. It was much more fuck you, fight me. I don't give a shit. It wasn't for anything. What was the payout for UFC 1? What was the prize money? It was $100,000. I don't think it was that much.
I have no idea, but you're right. You're right. I mean, and more of that attitude would be refreshing, but also it is a different time and the sport is a different beast altogether.
It's just
at first, it was
the roots.
Yeah, at first it was a spectacle. Hold on one second. Lucas, please. Quiet, buddy.
50,000, Lewis.
Lucas and his best friend Lucas are kicking up a storm in the house. And if I have to tell them one more time to keep it down, I know you tweeted this morning, Lewis, that hitting your child makes you a bully. But if they don't shut the fuck up,
beat both of their asses.
Yeah,
how many Lucases? How many 7-year-old Lucases do you think you can fight at the same time?
Lucas's dad is called Anderson Silva.
No, it's not.
I swear to God. Next door is Lucas. He's called Anderson Silva. Can you? He's the Brazilian family. Can you believe that? It's funny. We have a son called Lucas, both the same age. No, they're great. They're the nicest people ever. The nicest. Yeah. They really are. They're fantastic. I couldn't believe it. The son called Lucas. All right, okay. The Brazilian. All right, okay. He's called Anderson Silva. I'm like, all right. There's definitely similarities here. Anyway, where were we? Because they were being very loud. Just being 8-year-old kids, and that's fine. Enjoy it, but respect the podcast, respect the believers, respect the process. Lewis, refresh me where we were. We were talking about UFC 1, and I was saying the thing is, it's a different time. It's a different beast. There's more money involved. Everyone deserves to be paid what they are worth, and maybe I don't know. It's a tricky one for Diaz. He needs to fight. He's a fighter, and he's not fighting. That's what it boils down to. Whether I don't know what the number is. I don't know what he gets paid. I don't know what he's looking for. But he's a fighter, and he should fight because that's what he does.
He asked the UFC to release him from his contract, and I think it was half joking, maybe half not. Look, maybe for Nate Diaz.
Why? Because what was his logic there?
If Nate was, maybe his thing is he goes and fights outside of the UFC. They'll pay him. Look, Bellator would pay him millions and millions of dollars. Am I right? They would.
No. Hold on. What was the catalyst for Diaz saying, right, okay, let me out of my contract? Because last I heard, he was fighting at Madison Square Garden against Dustin Poirier. Everything was hunky-dory. He went to a press conference, signed a contract, and now all of a sudden, let me out of my contract. What? Because your opponent got injured in a fight? That's not the UFC's fault. I'm not being a UFC shill. Everybody knows, and Diaz should know. Everyone knows. The training camps are so strenuous. You put yourself through it. Poirier's injured. He respects Diaz as an opponent. And it's like, fuck, I don't want to step in there with him when I'm injured like this. I'm going to lose the fight. So he called the UFC and said, unfortunately, regrettably, I've got to withdraw for an undisclosed injury, which I don't like. I don't like when people do that. Just tell us what the injury is. Love Dustin Poirier, but come on, bud.
Or conspiracy theory. Now USADA does not let people know. It's completely closed until they come up with a ruling. So maybe it's an undisclosed injury for another reason.
Oh, hold on, Lewis. Can you just say that in one soundbite? Because you can say it. I'm not saying it. But are you saying
Dustin Poirier is on steroids? They're all on steroids.
Dustin Poirier got pulled from the UFC 230 Madison Square Garden card because he failed a steroid test? Question mark. Question mark.
I'm not saying that the earth is flat or the earth is round.
If any websites use that, you have to put the question mark. That was a question. But they won't. It'll be a statement. Yeah. It'll be an exclamation mark. Anyway, we're joking. But you're right. If you want to be a conspiracy theorist, that is a possibility.
This is the new way, undisclosed. It has, I have no idea. Has Dustin ever been even suspected of doing anything like that? No, right?
Nah. Dustin's an old school type of guy. He's not out there taking steroids. But yeah. All right. Anyway, Diaz. There you go. What are you going to do?
So
Diaz will Diaz.
Yeah, it's Nick too, though. I feel like Nate looks up to his brother almost too much because he seems like to be emulating what Nick does in sort of just not, like I said, the best thing, he's sort of dangling himself as a carrot. I dated chicks that are like this. My ex was always like this. She was like, you know what? Then you know what? You just don't deserve me. I deserve better than this. I'm like, bitch, what do you think you are? I don't deserve you. You out of your fucking mind?
She was probably right. She's
100% right, but she doesn't say that. If a dude said that, imagine you said, "You don't deserve me. I'm a princess. Get the fuck out of here." Sorry.
What about a prince?
I have no bitterness.
What about a prince? I wouldn't say I'm a princess.
I want to be treated like a princess.
You don't deserve me. I'm a prince. All right, guys, let's take a quick second to hear from one of our loyal advertisers, AutoSlash. AutoSlash is the #1 site for getting a great deal on a car rental. They figure out the best coupons and discount codes to get you the lowest rate possible, and then they track the prices on your rental right until the day you pick up the car. That's the magic of AutoSlash. Car rental prices fluctuate constantly, and AutoSlash nabs them when they're down so that you rent the car at the lowest rate. Renters on average save 30% or more when using AutoSlash. AutoSlash has saved customers millions of dollars on car rentals.
Yeah, I'm using them right now. I'm in Tampa right now, and we rent all the time. And I've spent so much money on renting cars, and it fluctuates everywhere you go. Every different city, it really fluctuates a ton, especially if you travel. You know this. They search all the companies like Avis, Hertz, Thrifty, all the major ones. They also, not only that, they search for all the coupons and online deals that you could possibly get. So instead of having an assistant sift through everything you could possibly get through online to try to find you the best deal, they do it for you. You get the best rate. And here's the coolest part of all is once you actually book, you can continue to track for the best rate. If a better rate becomes available, you could cancel and rebook super simply. Really, really easy. Autoslash.com. I'm going to tell you right now, I will never rent from another place again. It's the cheapest and easiest way to do it.
Yep, 100% totally agree. So listen, guys, if you need to rent a car and you want to pay the lowest amount, which of course you do, everyone wants a deal, go to autoslash.com. They got great prices on the car rentals, guaranteed best prices. Autoslash.com. All right, let's go.
Other big news. Anyway. Other big news, because we got to wrap up in about 20 minutes here.
I don't. But is James still alive?
I don't know. The pool's empty, and I don't see him. I have no eyes on James. No eyes on James, guys.
No lifeguards.
No lifeguards. My girlfriend.
No
I was saying this to my girlfriend. She doesn't love him like that. She loves him, but it's not your kid. There's no way you don't even know until you have a kid the way you fucking can love something. There's no and she's like, oh, I love him. You have no idea. I'm like, listen to me. I know what it's like to be around somebody else's kid that you think you love, but then you have your own kid and you realize I would fucking step on the heads of every child. If my son got a scratch on his knee, I would just step on the heads of children in a pool in order to get over to him. I do not give a fuck about anybody else's child.
You're in Florida, right?
Yeah.
You're in Florida. So lots of alligators in Florida. If it's your own flesh and blood, you will dive in and fight that alligator to save James. I'm just letting you know.
Lose, but you'll try.
I don't think Kim would do that. I don't think she'd dive in and fight an alligator to save your child.
I don't think so at all. I think she would, maybe.
We better end this podcast, right? We better.
Her story would be that she was like, oh, I went in, I wrestled with the alligator, I just couldn't do anything. She would watch him get dragged in, and she'd be like, all right, I'll take another Long Island iced tea. This is gonna be a long day. It'll be awful.
So yeah, me and Lewis are probably gonna be finished after this, but the writing's been on the wall for a while, so fuck it. There's plenty of Puerto Ricans about. I'll just get another one.
She would also have to break up with me too, because it's not like it's not right, but from her perspective, she's like, I'm not going to deal with this resentment forever. It was an accident. Nobody meant for a fucking crocodile to eat your kid, and now every time we see other kids at the mall, you got to start crying and give me shit.
Are you going to bring this up constantly? I mean, can we get over it, please? It's like, it's been 6 months, Lewis. Okay. I'm sorry. Okay. I'm sorry your kid got eaten by fucking alligators. Sorry, I'm not an alligator fighter. My skills don't lie in fighting fucking alligators. Maybe if you weren't doing your stupid podcast and watched your son, your fucking self. Oh God, we're going to hell.
It's
Right,
such a
this
real
is hilarious.
conversation. It'll be true. I mean, really, you got to bring it up every time. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. I let an alligator eat your son. I'm sorry. There, I said it.
Yeah, you're like, oh my God. And she's like, what's wrong? You're like, it's James's birthday today. Well, it would have been James's birthday. She's like, oh my God, here we go again. You ruined the day. Oh, okay, right. Moving on. What else?
I really hope he's not being eaten by an alligator right now.
And I really hope his mother never listens to this podcast.
Oh no, please. This is deep in. If she listens, 45 minutes into the podcast, I deserve the trouble that I'm in, to be honest.
Yeah, no, for sure. All right, Harrington, what else we got, buddy?
Well, we got to talk about this, a couple big bookings real quick, but I want to give a shout out. We'll be this Monday night. This is coming out tonight on Saturday night. Monday night, we'll be in LA together, hanging out on Joey Diaz's podcast, The Church of What's Happening Now. So watch that live. First time we're doing that show together. Joey's awesome. So, and he had your boy Yoel Romero on. So we can.
Yeah, well, they're Cubanos. They're brothers in arms. They're both Cuban, so they got a lot in common. Also, we'll be addressing a certain topic because Lewis sent me a video of two other well-known podcasters perhaps throwing indirect shade bombs towards, Lewis, not me, but,
a little shade towards you too, dog.
Oh, really? I didn't see it. Really? I mean, I saw it. I didn't pick up on that.
We don't have time today. I'm on vacation. We're not going to spend our show being petty chicks.
No, we'll do it on someone else's.
We'll talk a little bit about this. When we go on Joey's, we'll talk about it. There might be another podcast featuring a former fighter and a comedian who a couple times now they've thrown a little bit of shade. Now, instead of just saying us by name, we've seen a few different times now. They just kind of allude to it, throw a little bit of shade. We don't fuck around. We don't just allude to shit. So we're going to address this full on.
Yeah, but hold on. You do realize for the last 2-3 minutes, all we've done is allude to their names. We haven't said their names.
How does it feel? How does it feel to have us dancing around a fucking topic, you pussies?
You alluding motherfucker, you. Okay.
It was fun.
All right.
If you're gonna talk about us, just talk about us. That's what I say.
Yeah. Don't allude. Who are we talking about?
Just say, who knows? Who knows what we're talking about?
Yeah, who knows? All right, what are we doing? Are we wrapping this up or we got one more topic?
No, let's talk big fight bookings. Huge fight bookings. Daniel Cormier versus Black Beast for the heavyweight title. Nobody saw this happening. Nobody. Derrick Lewis had a great performance. I shouldn't even say great performance. Derrick Lewis had it. It was a very entertaining finish to that fight. But what we saw in that fight was sort of like, it wasn't great. He was losing that fight, in my opinion, up to that point. And then he caught him. But even he said, hey, dude, I got to work on my cardio. I train an hour a day. Very funny. I'm a big fan of his. But I almost feel like they're just kind of throwing him to the wolves here. What do you think?
Well, love Derrick Lewis. Hopefully we're getting him on the podcast. That might be a little bit more difficult now that he's got this big fight on short notice. It wasn't a good performance from Derrick Lewis. It was a sensational finish. Finish that impressed me because he pulled it out of the bag so late. He knew he was under pressure. He knew if he had to win the fight, it was going to be by knockout, and he went for it and he got it. He has to be commended for that. But the performance itself wasn't good. It was kind of one-sided. He turned his back a lot and kind of was hurt. Now, fair enough, he said that a knuckle went in his eye or a finger, and maybe that was giving him a lot of issues. And if that's the case, then maybe his balls were definitely hot, so he gets a pass, perhaps. He actually said on the post-fight show, Lewis, that he trains 30 minutes a day, not an hour. So I said, you might just want to up those numbers a little bit. But you got to think that it's going to be a pretty easy fight for Daniel Cormier. That said, though, he can hit hard. And one punch, as we know, I know it's the oldest expression in the books, only takes one. And he's a knockout guy. He is a guy that can knock you out. I often talk about it. We have one of those punch bag machines that measures how hard you punch on UFC tonight. Daniel Cormier was at the top. Derrick Lewis came in. He punched that punch bag machine. He nearly knocked the fucking thing over. Right? I swear to God, the entire thing shook. So he hits incredibly hard. Is he the most technical fighter? Is he the most technical martial artist? Hell no. No, he's not. He's got great ground and pound, although I can't see any kind of environment where he ends up on top of DC. And he's got heavy ass punches. Saying that, he does actually throw some jumping kicks and stuff these days. So yeah, maybe I'll take that back a little bit. Listen, on paper, it's a good matchup for Daniel Cormier, but the fact that he can knock people out and he does look to do that makes it a very exciting prospect.
Look, super exciting fight, undeniable. Okay, and to be honest with you, any given Sunday, he could technically knock out Daniel Cormier, a man who's never been knocked out, spent most of his career at heavyweight, just was able to knock out
Stipe against John Jones.
Oh, I'm sorry. Fuck. Wow. Stand corrected. Did get knocked out against John Jones.
Lost
got slammed across the cage by Anthony Johnson.
Oh, wait, hold on. No, I'm not wrong. Actually, that loss was expunged. It was John Jones's steroids and his dick pills that knocked out Daniel Cormier, and that's cheating. So I don't count that. Stand by it. Never been knocked out.
You're correct. Hold on. But he did get knocked out. I don't care what the record books say. Unfortunately, I love DC, but he did get knocked out. He got knocked out. I don't care which way, you look at it, Lewis, from, your weird perspective, but he got knocked out. Hate to break it to you.
He knocked out John Jones. That's what I say. I take it all back. I think we're going to split. We're going to turn it on its head.
He kind of did.
Look, dude, I don't think that Derrick Lewis is going to be able to do that. It's just kind of a strange booking, considering the fact that we've seen DC say he's only got a couple fights left. Say I think he wants to retire next year. The Brock Lesnar fight was out there. I know John Jones, he's talked about actually wanting to avenge that fight. And Stipe, I know Stipe wants that rematch. What's going on with this booking? So out of left field. When you heard about this, weren't you kind of like, wow, that's a little strange?
Okay. Circle of trust time. I can't look or break. I can't break the circle of trust. Okay. But I'm in the circle of trust. I'm looking at my rule list on the wall. Rule number 2, don't talk about things I shouldn't do on the podcast. I'm going to break that rule.
No, stop.
I'm going to break that rule. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I do know that, there was a couple of offers made to other fighters to be in that main event that shall remain nameless. That was offered a lot of money to take it the main event, and he didn't take the fight.
The main event against
in Madison Square Garden.
And not against DC. You're saying other people were offered.
No, not against DC. A different weight class. It would have been a big fight, though. Would have been a big fight that everyone would have been very excited for. But 50, I'll tell you off the air. I can't.
Text me right now.
All right, I'll text you right now.
Text me right
but
now.
Don't
I want to know.
Allude. Okay, don't do it.
I would never. What? Do I look? What am I? The fighter and the kid? I don't allude. I would never allude.
Ooh, name drop. Hold on. This is not the best podcasting, but
it's
still
great. This is good podcasting. It's great podcasting. Sometimes. Ooh, there we go. Tom Segura. 50 Cent. Yeah. Sorry, I'm reading text messages from Harrington now.
Okay,
sorry, guys,
I've sent it to you.
Ooh, whoa! Why?
Because I can't go on about it any further.
Why?
Okay, I can't answer your question. Why? Because then it would make it very obvious, and this is very frustrating for everybody listening. So let's move on. So what I was saying was, I know they were trying to make some big fights. Okay. And they were struggling, but Madison Square Garden, they need one of their marquee guys. Obviously, DC is one of them. Now, the fight against Brock Lesnar seems to have fallen by the wayside at the moment. We haven't heard anything about that since the night Stipe of DC. DC's probably, and I haven't spoken to Daniel Cormier, so I'm assuming, and they say assumption is the mother of all F-ups, but I'm assuming, and I hope I'm wrong, but he's probably thinking, you know what, Derrick Lewis, I'll beat this guy pretty easy. That's in 3 weeks. Yeah. I don't mind another payday. I don't mind more pay-per-view. Maybe not. And it's only it's 3 weeks away. It's like I could beat that guy. I've just done a full training camp. Lewis looked out of shape, which he did. That was a 3-round fight where Lewis couldn't handle the cardio. This is a 5-rounder. That plays into DC's benefit, his strengths, his favor. So he's probably like, you know what? I'd be a fool to leave that money on the table. And
they probably offered him a shit ton of money. Like short notice, they probably, if I had to guess, yeah.
Yeah, they probably made it a very sweet deal for him. Yeah, of course. Because I know they were looking, for someone else. So, as a family man, as a guy that's near the end of his career, as I said earlier, you got to stack those chips. So he's stacking those fucking chips, and good for him. Now, if he beats Derrick Lewis, he's not only knocked out Stipe, he's defended the heavyweight belt. Jones and Gustafsson fight at the end of the year. He'll probably fight the winner of Jones and Gustafsson for the light heavyweight belt. Win or lose that fight, him versus Brock Lesnar for his final ever retirement fight.
Yeah. So look, it was just it sort of made sense. It's it's a super winnable fight. I guess it may, and that's not I want to get Derrick Lewis on this weekend. That's not disrespecting Derrick Lewis. I think when you look at everything on paper, if you step back from it, I don't give a shit if this is my best friend in the world. You'd have to look at it like, yeah, dude, it's a pretty tough fight to win short notice.
I remember DC had this teammate, and I think he might have had the belt as well, and like he was like supposed to win this fight, and like he was going to win, and they offered it to someone, and I think that guy took it on short notice, like less than Lewis. I think it was like 2 weeks notice he took it on, but I think he was in Canada filming a movie. It was one of DC's very good training partners from AKA, kind of tall, dreamy surfer type, and he lost the fight, and he lost his belt. So I hope DC doesn't fall into the same trap. What was his name? God, I can't think. Yeah, who knows? But that could happen.
I feel like I would remember such a spectacular performance.
And I know, and I feel like the person that would have won would like mention it almost every week, but he doesn't. He doesn't. So
I think you're thinking of the plot line to Rocky 3. Yeah.
If he dies, he dies. No, that's Mr. T. Mr. T. Pain. Yeah. All right. Well, listen, should we do a couple of questions and wrap it up? Just in case James is floating face down in the pool or being eaten by alligators. Or
we went to Busch Gardens yesterday. By the way, fucking Busch Gardens, they have real deal alligators there. Alligators are fucking terrifying. They're terrifying beasts.
Listen. Yes, but they ain't shit compared to proper Australian crocodiles.
Oh yeah, you think the crocs?
The crocs are about 2-3 times as big.
Really?
Yeah. I'm not sure if it's the fresh water or the salt water. Yeah. Fucking gators, mate. Yeah. Never mind that. Where do you see the crocs we got down here?
Oh, it's the shittiest accent. I hate it.
Bloody crocs. They'll bloody have you. Right. You got any questions? I can't do an Australian accent. My bloody wife's Australian, and she says all the time. She's like, Michael, don't ever.
But your wife sounds British. Your wife doesn't sound Australian.
Yes and no. Yeah, thank God.
It's a combination. Yeah, dude. Your wife is beautiful, but if she had that shitty accent, I wouldn't be able to listen to her talking. But can you get your wife away from me?
I struggle at the best of times as it is. You know what I mean? Yeah. Imagine if she had a stupid accent as well. I'd be like, oh God. All right. Let's do some questions.
Howard, to pick a couple questions. Give us some good ones.
Okay, I thought this was interesting because I've spent a weekend in Vegas with you, Mike. This is from Adam Webb. Hi, Mike. I was the guy chasing you down in the wind for a photo at 5 a.m, which you obliged, so thank you. At a typical UFC event, how many times do fans stop you for photos? Didn't want to be that guy, but I couldn't help myself. Also, what are your go-to drink spots in Vegas after fights?
Okay, well, thank you. Obviously, he must have a faulty watch because I do not frequent casinos at 5 a.m. So whoever's asking that question is a goddamn liar. Just in case my wife's listening. No.
That was definitely not me.
Yeah, thank you. I've got something in my eye. This guy's crazy. What's he talking about? Yeah, no. What was the actual question, though? Because I was...
how many times at like a typical UFC event are you stopped for photos?
Okay, so it's a double-edged sword. When there's a UFC event on in Las Vegas, of course, the town's full of UFC events. the town's full of UFC fans, and there's might be 25,000 people going to the T-Mobile Arena, and then other people, they come in, they're gambling, they're betting, they go to viewing parties, they just come in because it's a big weekend. They don't necessarily have tickets, so there's UFC fans everywhere. So on a UFC weekend, you might be forgiven for thinking like I'm really famous or something, but it's only on like a UFC weekend, So yeah, on those kind of weekends, it can be a little bothersome. Not that I'm that type of guy. Oh, leave me alone, man. I don't want to be bothered. But you're just trying to go about your day. You're trying to stumble back to your room at 3 a.m. and go to sleep. But yeah, it happens a lot. Because you got 25,000 people there for the UFC, and I've had a lot of fights in the UFC. They're like, "Hey, what's up?" And I appreciate it. I do, and I love it. It's not always nice to be appreciated for what you do, and I'm very grateful for that. Drinking spots in Vegas, I don't know.
You're very patient with that. I've noticed a million times. We were out of the docks in California. I forget where we were, like somewhere in Cali. We went to like just some big like pier, and you were getting stopped a lot, I remember. And I mean, just the patience of a saint, because I would do the hellos and all that stuff, but when you're with your family, like you're with your little boy, and like I don't think I saw you even be slightly like rude or lose your patience at all with anybody, which is great. I've been with some really famous people who get like fucking mobbed, and I think the move is you just got to keep moving. Do the selfie as you guys are moving. I saw that. I was hanging out in Vegas with Sal Volcano from the Impractical Jokers, and he's like, they're so famous in that environment where it's all tourists. It was like crazy. I've never seen that many people attack somebody without any sort of, you should just know, like, all right, dude, stop fucking grabbing on somebody. It's weird.
You just hit the nail on the head. And again, it sounds like, like I have an elevated feeling of self-worth, which I definitely don't. But the move is head down, walk fast, don't stop. Because if you do, especially on a UFC week, sometimes, because if you walk with your head down, a lot of people, they won't notice. But some of them might, and they say, well, looking at his body language, he's got his head down and he's stomping through, and you stare at your phone on purpose. You don't really make eye contact. They might be like, he's in a rush, whatever, leave him to it. But if you stop for one picture, which of course inevitably you do, because when that person who's drunk, hey, Bisping, what's up? You all right, cool. But then the line starts forming, and then there's and it gets out of hand. And generally, I don't care. I really don't. I don't always stop. Sometimes, sometimes I'm late for a flight. Do you know what I mean? Especially if you're stumbling to your room at 5 a.m. and you got an 8 o'clock flight. There's a good chance that I'm running late for that flight. So forgive me if I don't want to stop at 8:30 a.m. And take pictures with a bunch of drunk guys that have been up all night. Or at an airport, I've had that one where I'm like literally running to the gate, and someone's like, "Yo, Bisping, let's get a picture." I'm like, "Dude, I can't. I'm sorry. I'm going to miss my flight." And that, "Fuck you, man." I'm like, "All right, yeah, real fan you are. See you, buddy." But yeah, it's all good. It's nice to be appreciated, as I say.
And for me, I'm not famous at all. So if you ever see me and you know who I am, I don't look. If I'm alone, I don't really care. But if I'm with somebody, yeah, make me look cool. Come over, make me start crying, shake, ask for a fucking autograph on your tit. I want all that. Make me look like I'm a fucking rock star, because you have never know who I'm with. I could be with an agent. I could be with somebody, from Hollywood that's important.
I like
Hooker,
it. I like it.
Drug dealer.
I like it when I'm with, somebody like a movie producer or whatever. We're meeting about doing a potential thing, and then like, people, oh my God, basically we get a picture, and I just act all nonchalant like it happens all the time, which it kind of does, but still. But you know what I mean? Sorry, pardon me, my fans, my public. I just got to see this, and he's like, totally get it. You're so good with them.
I work for them.
Curse. Yeah. Without them, I'm nothing. And that's the kind of passion I bring to your movie. All right.
Dude, you should pay somebody to do that every time you're with a movie producer. You should pay. Dude, I'll play the role. I'll come up. I'll just start fucking jerking you off in front of him, like, "Oh, you've changed my life."
I don't do porn movies. What the fuck?
What was the Coming to America, the scene where he sees him in the bathroom? He's working at the stadium. And he gets down, he starts chanting. That's great. Yeah.
So good. All right, let's leave it
Next
there.
question. One more question.
Okay. Hey guys, love the podcast. Improves week on week, especially the inclusion of.
I think Michael Bisping said it best.
In light of DC being stripped of the belt at 205, my question is, do you see the point in the UFC allowing for two division champions when they never get to defend two divisions? Conor never defended, and DC is not being given a chance to defend at 205. Apart from short-term pay-per-view buys, I don't understand it, as it doesn't give the fighters the legacy it should, and that's from JJ Massey.
Well, JJ, excuse me. JJ, thank you very much for the kind words. And that's actually a really good question. That is a good question, and I'm not sure how to answer it, because you're right. You know, I mean, it certainly does cause a logjam in the divisions. As you said, Conor hadn't defended, DC has yet to. But the people that do that aren't really a common thing. It is becoming more common now. We just saw Bellator try and do the same thing as well with McDonald and Gegard Mousasi. It's sexy. It's sexy for the viewer. It's, you know, it helps sells pay-per-view buys and all the rest of it. But as you rightly pointed out, the opposite side of the coin is that it does cause a logjam in the divisions. And in a sport where there isn't too many weight divisions, unlike boxing, it causes logistical issues. It just causes issues. It causes problems. It holds up divisions. So I don't know. I don't know what's right and what's wrong. I don't know what the right approach is, because realistically, we all have the right to want to challenge ourselves and say, I'm going to step up and try and fight that champion. You know, and if it looks like a good fight on paper and it looks like it sells to the UFC, then why wouldn't the UFC explore that? You know, but if the guy on the lighter weight is victorious, then of course, then you have a problem, because then you got two champions. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's right, what's wrong. Lewis?
Yeah, I mean, I think the answer is just having some consistency. Have specific black and white parameters for what you're looking for. You know, I've said this before with the interim title, and I say consistent with this when you're dealing with a two-division champion. If they don't defend in a year, strip them. You know, you don't need to have an interim championship. Just give them 1 year. 1 year they don't defend for whatever reason. Their contract negotiations, fucking whatever it is. After 1 year, say we're stripping you. Number one, number two guys are now fighting now for an interim title, and you can come back and you could be the number one guy once you figure your shit out, and that's that.
You're right, Lewis. I've got another good idea as well. What they could have, as you say, make it black and white, have it stipulated in the contract, say, okay, we're going to allow you as our light heavyweight champion, for example, to step up to heavyweight and compete for the belt. We're going to let you bypass all the other contenders because you are a champion of another weight class, and it hopefully will sell pay-per-view and all the rest of it. But within 6 months, unless there is like a serious injury, in 6 months of winning the heavier belt, if you do win, you have to face the number one contender at that new weight class. And if you don't do that, you're stripped of the heavier weight class and you're back to your original one.
Yeah, I agree. That could work. But the reality is what we're talking about either way. It's just consistency and just having clear-cut criteria, because the problem is nobody knows what they're going to do with any of this. We had DC on the show not that long ago, and he was saying, he was like, oh, yeah, I'm going to be champion of both divisions. And then a few months later, all of a sudden, he's being stripped. No, I got you.
Yeah, I'm really sorry. No, I know.
No, don't worry about it.
As I say, I'm home alone with the kids right now, and Lucas just came in. He said something about going to Target, something about alligators, and something about swimming pools with no lifeguards. So I wasn't sure what you said. I'm sure it was really good, but no. Apparently, he's going to Target. He's 8 years old. He's like, Dad, we're off to Target.
Going to Target to buy an alligator, and there's not going to be any lifeguards. So.
Oh God! All right, name of the episode: Target alligators and
lifeguards.
Let's wrap it up.
All right, sweet. Thank you so much, Michael Bisping. If you guys love the show, we have 88 episodes available on demand at gasdigitalnetwork.com. Use the promo code BYM. You get a free trial, 14 days. Just download all the episodes. See if you like it. See if you like the premium service. You get ad-free episodes. I know a lot of people complain about advertisements, so you don't have to listen to ads. They're also uncensored, pre-released, and you get a free trial. So if you like it, keep it. If not, you can just cancel. Also, make sure you follow everyone on social media. Go subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is growing and growing and growing. Thank you for everybody that's been sharing the YouTube channel. Want to give a special shout out to Travis Powers at Sam Ash here in Tampa, because he hooked me up with this equipment, gave me a fat discount. Fan of the show as well. Big fan of Michael Bisping. Called his girlfriend up on the phone to tell me that we were buying equipment for the show. Obviously go to iTunes, leave us a 5-star ranking, positive review, and tell your friends about Believe You Me. If you're driving in a car, put the latest episode on. You got a friend who likes MMA, send them a clip. I promise you'll like it.
Absolutely. I echo those sentiments. Travis, thank you for helping Lewis there. And yeah, subscribe, tell friends, retweet, share. Have a great week. Talk to you soon.
Hey guys, thanks for watching the show today. You should know on Gas Digital we have a bunch of amazing podcasts, including the brand new I'm Over Here Now featuring legendary comedian Andrew Dice Clay. So without further ado, here's a clip from that show.
We have with us who I refer to, we're very close, would you say that?
Yeah.
My second best friend
Wheels is
in the
first
world.
one.
Wheels is my first best friend. Tom Green is my second best friend.
Yeah.
Tom is an excellent actor / great comedian.
Thank you. That's,
He started. What was the name of your show on MTV?
The Tom Green Show.
The Tom Green Show. He was the first ever to do what the assholes from Jackass ripped off from him. I mean, it was a complete, look at me. No,
Yeah.
It was a complete ripoff.
Yeah.
Complete. I don't stand for that. I don't like when I see myself ripped off, which is a constant. But his is so blatant because what he created years ago, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm not, was the pranks from your parents to painting the house to painting the car, to all the crazy stuff.
Yeah.
And then these assholes come along,
Yeah.
talentless
Yeah.
and all, but no, that's not talent. To throw yourself off a cliff is just an asshole. Tom mixed these pranks with comedy, and that's what made it interesting. Not just lighting yourself on fire to die or something, like that, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I've gotten to know the Jackass guys, and I do like them.
I don't have anything against them.
Trying to.
They didn't rip me off. They didn't do anything to me.
I try not to,
to dwell on it.
to dwell on it or get or.
Well, you've come so
don't-
far since then. My point is, I just like people to know how you started out.
Yeah.
That tell them, you know what? You could tell people because I know from our talks that it was almost like an accident how it became a phenomena.
Yeah. Yeah, I started the show on community public TV in Canada. And then we just did it, and MTV picked it up, and it was exciting time, Moved to New York in 1999.
All right, but what's the rush?
What's that?
I mean, you gave like a brief. I do a whole build-up because you're my friend.
Yeah.
And you just said we started on community TV, and then MTV picked it up.
Yeah.
How long did it take? And what
I did the show. I did the show for 5 years in Ottawa, Canada. I was a broadcasting student, a television broadcasting student at Algonquin College. I was like learning how to plug in microphones and cameras and all that stuff like this, kind of like what you got here. And so I knew nobody was going to give me a TV show, so I just had to go make my own TV show.
Do you remember your first prank?
The first one for the show, when we had the cameras rolling, was basically, it was called Meathead, and I went downtown and I taped pork chops to my head, and I went around and I interviewed people.
Wait, so say that? I was just thinking of something.
So it was called Meathead.
Yeah.
And I went downtown and I taped pork chops to my head.
Pork or lamb?
Like pork.
Okay.
Pork chops. And then I went around and I interviewed people with a microphone and just
Wearing the pork
pretended
chop.
there was no meat on my head. Yeah. And then they got confused and ran away and then that was
Do
the
you
joke.
feel
That was the
Lady
joke,
Gaga
basically.
stole the meat thing from you?
Yeah. Yes, I do. I'm actually that's one I don't mind talking about.
Okay. No, I'm just saying.
No, I don't know. Listen.
Didn't she put skirt steak all over herself?
Yeah, she did do that. Yeah. People.
Nothing like meat on top of meat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you know Lady Gaga, so I don't.
Yeah, I'm not.
She's
I'm
your
not
friend.
looking,
I know she's a friend of yours.
No, we'll get into that.
Yeah,
but
I don't
I'm
want to
just
accuse
saying.
her. I don't like accusing anybody.
It's not accusing. She's a very creative person,
Yeah.
but when it came to wrapping herself in skirt steak,
Yeah,
that was your influence.
it's possible.
All right, guys, thanks for listening to the show. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please go out there, like, subscribe, tell your friends.
I was going to say tell your friends. That was my part.
Oh, fucking hell, you are. You can't think of some generic toss. All right, guys, that's the show. If you
That's it. Just make it that.